I suck at Instagram. And if you go look at my profile, I put out great things. It's just not where my audience is though. So pick one and get really good at it, because you're going to figure out little things that you can apply to maybe the second network that you're going to try.
Welcome to the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, this is Augustino. As a real estate entrepreneur, raising capital for deals, getting your name out there is super important to filling up the top of your investor funnel. And really getting your name and your business out there noticed on the internet needs to be part of your overall strategy. With all the noise out there, it can be very, very hard to do if you don't know what you're doing. Well, today's guest, he understands the importance of networking and marketing and has beat billion-dollar companies at their own game using proven online strategies to grow their businesses. For over a decade, he has risen to become an expert at search engine optimization and has gone on to build an international search engine marketing company that works with NBA teams, Inc. 5000, and Shark Tank featured businesses. So today, as the CEO of SEO National, he and his team, they help companies boost sales and get brands noticed by their target audience, including people looking for investors and generating leads through SEO, through search engine optimization. He's a contributing writer for Forbes and has been featured writer on Buzzfeed and USA Weekly. Now, with all that, I'd like to welcome my good friend Damon Burton to the show. Hey, Damon, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much, Augustino. There's a lot we can talk about today, so I'm excited to chat with your real estate network.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Well, if you like what Damon has to say, you can reach him via his website at damonburton.com. And if you like our content, please don't forget to leave a comment and rate the show. Finally, if you text the word freedom to 202-410-4202, you'll get our free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. All right, Damon, go ahead and tell listeners about what it is you do and what SEO, what this whole search engine optimization thing is all about.
Sure, yeah. So kind of the crash course is, SEO stands for, as you said, search engine optimization. The goal is to show up higher in search engines for words that you can monetize, but the key difference is without paying for ads. And so it's real estate is such a great market to take advantage of for SEO because there's such good profit margins. There's always demand. And so the key thing with SEO, and we can kind of get into, what goes into it, but it's a little bit of a long-term play, but once it kicks in, it's just a solid, consistent source of leads. And where you're in real estate and there's always the demand, it's like a no-brainer to get into this because it's going to support you long term. So that's kind of the crash course, and then there's a million different ways we can take it, but that's the rundown.
Let's start from the top then. I mean, when it comes to, like, say, personal branding, getting the word out there for what you do, what we talk about is that network of investors starts from day one, and day one being decision point, right? Mm-hmm. So it isn't like finding a deal first. It's really building the network, getting people to know who you are, what you do, and then start building up your lead list, so to speak, to find possibly invested people that want to invest in you. They believe in you. They believe in the business. And that personal branding, that strategy has to become a key aspect of that. And I mean, of course, there's people that go to the networking events and things like that as part of it. Mm-hmm. But what sort of things do you do online to really help those people get noticed by potential investors that may want to invest in deals, I guess?
Yeah, there's two different things we can talk about. We can talk about the search engine side and then the branding side, and there's a little bit of overlap. But what you're bringing up is a great point for investors and attracting those deals and those leads is the branding component. And as you said, trust is a huge thing, right? And so everybody knows a realtor or somebody in real estate. So you have to stand out some way. And so the easiest way to do that is to get online and start showcasing your expertise. So usually kind of the hesitation I get from a lot of people is, well, I'm nothing special. I'm not unique, right? It's this imposter syndrome. And so where your value is in those things that you think are weird and quirky. That's what you embrace, right? Because that's what sets you apart. So you come to market, you get online. I'll give you like a really extreme example, a little bit different from real estate, but it'll maybe illustrate how you kind of embrace the quirkiness or your unique things. So I did a webinar a couple weeks ago, helping small businesses, like, how do you how do you leverage what's going on with the whole coronavirus thing and stand out and kind of bring in some traffic and some leads? So one listener participant was a restaurant owner. So I said, you know what you do is you go in and we can correlate this over to real estate. So you go in, you get your phone and you do your little selfie video when you're unlocking your restaurant at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you walk in and you say, this is why I got into this business. This is why I love, coming in here. I love seeing the perfectly clean kitchen from the night before. And I love the smell when I break out the spices. And so you show that personality. And so you can do that same thing in real estate. Do your video walking into a home. Talk about how you love, whether it's like a new investment or a new property build, the smell of the glue of the carpet and the paint in the walls, like whatever it is, like show that you know what you're talking about. And if it's like, if you're flipping something and you're rebuilding it, then talk about like, this wall over here is coming down and this is the best part. I'm going to bring my kids in and let them smash a hole in it. Like showcase that personality, because your buyers are out there, right? That like you don't have to create the buyer, you just have to get their trust. And people want to buy and contribute and invest in people that they feel like they can relate a little to, or just has that human element. So it's not as hard as you think. All you got to do is trip over yourself a little bit and figure out your voice and just start putting it out there and identify what you're comfortable in sharing. And then once you figure out that path, then just kind of go all in on showcasing your personality.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, you just touched on something. It's going to be very uncomfortable when you're starting out. And it's probably going to suck. I mean, it's probably going to be a terrible video. It's going to be too long or too short, or something's going to be wrong with it. But sure, it all starts with that first one. I mean, you have to, like that example is perfect right there. Maybe there's someone that it wants to get into multifamily and they're flipping a house right now to get some extra money to put down on the deal. Well, just like you said, this is how this deal's set up now. This is what we're doing to it. This is the boost we're going to get out of it. I mean, doing that kind of stuff and taking it and putting it up online. I mean, doing things like that to get the word out is definitely one thing for sure. And I guess blogging, I mean, I know you're a writer, and part of the reason why you write is for awareness. It's how you and I connected, actually, right?
Yeah. And before, one more thing before we get into that, just to kind of emphasize what you were saying about you got to start somewhere. The nice thing about video is you don't have to upload it. Like record your crappy video and trip over yourself and then delete it. And then try again and then delete it. And then, write something and then save it as a draft. Like you can fill it out and start to make progress without the rest of the world knowing. But even if you get that far and you start showcasing it, like you're still not going to be perfect, but that's still okay, because that's when you're going to get your feedback. So I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah. And then like with the writing thing, start by same type of concept, start with showcasing your expertise. And I'm going to take this one level further with real estate, because the problem, the huge opportunity that people in real estate are missing is specifically SEO. Because here's the problem. When you go tell me any real estate website that you go to and they have the same MLS crap, right? Everybody pulls the same listings from the same data. So the problem with that from a search engine perspective is Google says, all right, if you want to rank, why am I going to rank you uniquely if you don't have anything unique to offer? So there's so much opportunity in the real estate space to, I understand when you're doing it at scale and you have to pull in those data feeds just because it makes sense to automate that. But anything you can do to differentiate your website from, whether it's the blog component, we can talk about, how do you write? What do you write about? Where do you find topics? But anything you can do, real estate has a huge opportunity if somebody would just come in and be the voice, right? You mentioned Grant Cardone before we hopped on and hit record. Grant Cardone sticks out because he just like goes, all right? He's just like talking, and then he's taking that and he's repurposing anything. Like if you actually listen to what Grant Cardone says, half the time you don't even know what he's saying, but he's still talking, right?
His lips are moving. He's saying stuff. So sometimes it's funny.
Yeah. So he's successful in the online he's successful in many ways, but specifically in online marketing is because he's top of mind. And that's your goal, is not to write a piece of content and hope that you get an immediate buyer. Your goal is to write a piece of content and do a video and do it every couple days and do it consistently. Because then when the people are ready to invest in you, they go, oh, Agostino's the guy, right? So you're not doing this for immediate satisfaction. You are building a reputation, which builds an audience, which builds a loyal following. But it's only going to happen if you're consistent.
Absolutely, absolutely. And putting out that content, you have to be either, maybe it's video, maybe it's blog, maybe you don't like writing, maybe writing's not your thing. Fine, turn the camera on yourself and then throw it up on YouTube, Facebook, whatever the case may be. You know, it's that branding, it's that strategy that you're coming up with. And well, and speaking of that too, now, how do you make that content searchable? Like how do you get discovered on social or even on the search engines? I mean, that's part of it right there. We were talking about that earlier with our friend Grant there. But how do you improve that so all the stuff that you're putting out there actually gets found?
So there's a pretty big difference between the content that goes on social media versus the content that goes on search engines, because on the search engine side, it's all about uniqueness, because Google kind of filters out if you were to copy and paste content or it's not unique or not valuable. So on social media, you can repurpose things, right? So you do like maybe a long form post on Facebook and then hash that, chop it up into shorter tweets. And then you take those shorter tweets and repurpose them into little visual graphics on Instagram. So social media, here's the way that I would suggest it. Start on your website, on your blog, write some long form content or unique content there. And then from there, that's like your hub of content. You don't have to, even if you're on your blog, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, 10 different places, you don't have to write 10 different things. You have to write one really good thing, and then you chop it up. So it's not as complicated as you would think. But at the same time, I would say, don't go too deep into it just yet, because it's better to be really effective on one platform than multiples. So I'm biased, obviously, towards search engines because that's my background. So I'm still going to say focus on your website first, and then that makes it easier to repurpose into other things. But when you start repurposing it, pick one platform first and get really good at that. So for me, my audience is largely on LinkedIn. And so I have a huge following on LinkedIn. But what's weird is I convert on Facebook. So I attract people and get them in my network on LinkedIn. And then eventually they follow me over to Facebook, and then that's where they private message me. And that's where the lead happens. That's when we get on the phone call, and that's when we convert. So figure out where your audience is, and like your little transition, to the opposite of that. My audience is not on Instagram. I suck at Instagram. And if you go look at my profile, I put out great things. It's just not where my audience is though. So pick one and get really good at it, because you're going to figure out little things that you can apply to maybe the second network that you're going to try. I still wouldn't say go to all of them.
Go ahead.
But maybe go to, one or two or three, but don't go to all 10.
Right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what's funny is that all these same people are on the same networks, but they prefer to interact with certain people in certain ways, right? Mm-hmm. Like the LinkedIn example, they hear of you on LinkedIn, they see your content on LinkedIn, but then interact on Facebook. That is absolutely huge. And I think it's because on Facebook, if you're able to get success on Facebook and then eventually get them into a deal or whatever, it's because on Facebook, I think people are a little more intimate on Facebook than they are on LinkedIn. Right? Yeah. And then if you're able, and I'm guessing too, if you're able to get them on Facebook, message you, and then maybe even convert them to a text message, if you want to do that, that's further pushing the intimacy level, right? Because people text they're obviously texting their loved ones, their family, their friends, that kind of thing. And now you're interacting in that same sort of circle with a family or friend. Now you've decreased the amount of gap between you and that contact. Yeah.
You know what's funny is I agree for the real estate world, but what's funny is me in the SEO world is the total opposite. So actually one of my pieces, the first piece I wrote on Forbes was how I don't give anybody my cell phone number. So I've had this company for 13 years now, and I don't give a single client my phone number. And so the reason why I bring this up is because you got to figure out what's comfortable for you and what's effective for you. So I think you're totally on the right track. And I think it probably definitely makes more sense in the real estate world because people want that intimate engagement. But just, I guess, kind of a side note, it's funny you say that because I'm the opposite guy.
That's so funny. Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, but it's true. In our world, we want to have as much communication as we can to either get someone to invest in a deal with us or to maybe even talk to a broker, for instance. It's like this is another thing too, is one of the biggest hangups that many, especially new investors have is how does a broker even know who they are? And part of it is if you're putting out good quality content to help a broker out,
Hmm.
then they know who to contact when they do have an issue, or they have
Yeah.
a deal that maybe they want to sell you because they like you and you've given them information about a certain topic that helps them out, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the key things right there.
But it's all about, like, I think we're saying the same thing in all these different little chunks, these little segments, and at the end of the day, it's about just standing out and being unique.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like super polished. Like my LinkedIn outreach is the total opposite of probably what most of the listeners would expect. Like the first line is something like, "I'm not here to pitch you anything," and so I straight up say I'm not going to pitch you, and then I say I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to let you go, because then it sets the expectations like, okay, I'm not walking into a bait and switch, and then he's going to leave me alone. And then guess what? I leave him alone, because what happens for me is now they're in my network. Now they see the content that I write. Now they see me talk about SEO. Now they remember I'm the SEO guy. And then the market's there. I don't have to go create the buyer. I just have to attract them to me. So like there's different ways. I mean, I think the sign off on my "now I'm going to let you go" is like, "From the face only a mother could love." Because because who else is going to get on there and like be self-deprecating and make jokes? And so you got to stand out, and you don't, and that doesn't mean being excessively polished. I think in fact that's probably the opposite of what you want to do nowadays.
Right. Well, okay, so let's talk about that. Let's go into the SEOs thing. So part of it is writing compelling copy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, you have to have the ability to write good stuff that's, just like you said, unique. It needs to be something that Google is going to find and then rank accordingly. But what if the person just sucks at writing? Like, well, I'm not a
Yeah.
writer. I can't write. What do I do? Who do I contact? Can I get somebody to write copy? How does that, what do you have in terms of advice for someone like that?
Yeah, there's a couple things you can do. So I'm going to answer that in reverse. I'm going to give the more direct answer first, and then I'm going to say, before you do that, you got to do these other things. So the direct answer is you can use a tool like iWriter.com. It's just the letter I and then writer.com. So that's basically a freelancer market for writers. So you can go in there, and it's kind of like an auction-based system, kind of not, but you go in there and you say, I want, a short, medium, or long form piece of content, and I want the writer to have, 7 stars, 8 stars, 9 stars, or 10 stars, and based on historical reviews. And then depending on the length and the quality of the writer, then you pay more or less. So you can very easily go in there and fill out the field that says, topic, I need to write about this kind of thing about real estate. Who's your audience? And there's little check boxes of, who your target demographic is. And so these people will write something tailored very specifically to what you give them. But that's the key. Like, you have to outline what you want. So here's why I say I answered that in reverse, because that's a solution, but it can still suck if you don't do your due diligence. So what you have to do first is, what I recommend is, you still want this to be your voice, because like we said, this needs to be unique. You don't just want somebody over there to just rehash the same boring real estate stuff that 1,000 other people have wrote about. So what I recommend is map out like a content calendar. And so I have can I throw out a link? It's a totally free thing. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah, of
so,
course.
so if you go to seonational.com/free, there's just a download right on there, and it's like a spreadsheet. And so it's not an opt-in or anything. It's just a template that has, January, February, March, April, May, all through the year, and then weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then within each week, it says topic, notes, resources. And so what you do is like you said, if you don't like writing, or maybe you're okay at it, but you're only in a good writing groove on certain days. So do all your homework ahead of time. Just figure out some good topics, and I can tell you how to find some topics in a minute. But do all your homework ahead of time. So when you have those good days that you can write, just kill it. Like, just write 4 or 5 or 6 things instead of forcing yourself to write on Fridays when you just want to go home and grab a coffee or do whatever. Like, get your roadmap ready, so when you're ready to jump into it, you can just be super productive. So that's what I recommend, is map that out. Then you can take that to iWriter. And so you can even buy in bulk. So let's say you map out a whole 52-week content calendar. go order 52 weeks worth of content. Or maybe if you just map it out a month at a time, go order 4 or 5 chunks of blogs. So there's other writing platforms like that. That's just, one that I'm familiar with. So map it out ahead of time. Now, to get even that far, should we go into, how you can come up with topics to even get to that
Oh,
point?
yeah, no, absolutely. No, this is gold. This is good. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So one of my favorite tools, which is also free, is answerthepublic.com. So you can go to Answer the Public and you can type in, real estate Florida or whatever location. And then what it's going to do is it's going to go pull data from different places. And one example is, how if you go to Google and you start typing out, what is the cost of a house in, and then it goes Florida, New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, and just starts suggesting things.
Yep.
So what that data is saying is Google's saying, hey, Agostino, historically people usually want this. And as you're starting to type that out, there's a good chance you probably want one of these searches too. And so Answer the Public pulls data from things like that. Now, why that's so beautiful is because that's your customers. Like that's them telling you exactly, like you don't have to guess what to write about. So you can go to answerthepublic.com or even just type in a couple things directly on Google like that. And then Answer the Public's going to spit out this chart that's like the who, what, when, where, and why of real estate in Florida, New York, or whatever you type in, right? It's going to go pull all that data. And so this is a very literal diagram of your lead audience, And so you can get in there and go, okay, which one of these who, what, when, where, why immediately ties to my service. And then write about that, because now you come to the market as the expert because it's a topic that you're comfortable speaking about. And it's something that that your audience is asking. And so no longer are you sitting there twiddling your thumbs and going, should I write about like how to flip a house? Like there's a million articles out there about how to flip a house. Yeah. What you want to figure out is like the one that says, why is this house stinky and I can't get this second layer of carpet tack off the floor? Like you need to figure out those very specific, unique things, draw them in and expose them to your network, and then stay top of mind.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. And part of it is what you said, though. I think the biggest hang up is they don't know what to write about, and I'm not good at writing. Well, if you plan it up front, if you use those resources, try to pick out what some of the major topics. Maybe you don't have to do it 52 weeks in advance, but even a week would be great. If you sat. But then I think part of it too is dedicating time, maybe in a specific place, and maybe it's in the house or maybe at a cafe or something to put you into writing mode from a psychological perspective, anyway. And really get you into that action mode of writing, or even just like you said, write out some high level topics, hand it over to a pro and have them put something together, and try to work with that same person. I imagine too is probably just as important, right? But work with the same person over and over and over again so that voice is consistent.
That's actually a super valid point. Nobody's ever brought that up, but it's exactly what we do. So iWriter we used to use in our company maybe like 7-8 years ago, but for the reason you brought up, we at that point started hiring writers, and so now we have an in-house team just so they can get familiar. In our case, get familiar with our clients and their audience and their voice. But it's the same thing for you. Yeah, the only downside about using freelance writers is that unless, like, if you go to a market like iWriter, it can be a different writer every time. Now in iWriter, they let you do favorites, and so you can like pitch your topic to some of your favorites, but like first of all you have to find them, which means you have to go through some people that may not be your favorites a couple times. So yeah, if you have the opportunity to work directly with somebody consistently that you end up identifying that brings a good voice to your topics, then definitely do it consistently, even if it's worth paying a little bit more. And there's like Facebook groups. If you search, writers groups and things like that, a lot of times you can get on there and just shoot a couple of people a message. And I found, one of our writers that does our overflow when we have like an excess amount of projects is a guy that we found from a Facebook group.
Huh. How about that? How'd you find them? How exactly did you do it?
The overflow writer?
Yeah.
So I was looking for just somebody to do some overflow. So I said, hey, we're an SEO company. These are the type of projects we work on. We have 4 full-time writers. Every once in a while we get like a rush that's a little bit more. And so I'd rather, and I want to make sure we can deliver a good product on time. And so I need like that backup in the back of my pocket. And so I just went out looking very specifically for somebody like that.
Okay.
And this person in particular was for like a one-time project. I remember what client was. It was for one of our attorney clients, and he just did so good. This is about 2 years ago. He just did so good that we just kind of keep him on call and throw extra stuff at him.
Nice. And part of it is just like I said, there's groups out there on Facebook. I think there's even groups on LinkedIn too. They can actually just say, hey, we're looking for backup writers, or I'm looking for someone that can help me with X, Y, Z. I think what you're also going to find is, at least in the multifamily space or the real estate space, there are many writers out there that are part of the group and they would love to actually write as well. So you could even make a pitch in different groups, say, hey, I'm a real estate investor looking to write some articles. If anybody out there is a good writer, let me know, or whatever, right? And that's also a good thing as well.
Okay.
So
here's the secret to finding a good writer. Well, just anybody that you're kind of outsourcing a little bit to, is I like to put an Easter egg in kind of the post or the listing or whatever it is.
yeah.
And so at the beginning, I'll say, I'll try to be relatable and say, hey, I'm really excited about the real estate world. Here's my experience. And I'm glad that you're in this world too. And then try and get that connection. And then give the intro about, here's the type of project we're going to work on. I'm looking for somebody that can help writing with this. And then like skip to the bottom. I'll come back to the middle in a minute, but then you skip to the bottom and you say, here's the compensation. Here's all the stuff that you're looking for. Because when people scan these things, like, okay, what is this about? And then they kind of jump to the bottom, like, where's the good stuff? And so right in the middle, I'll put something like, don't Facebook message me, or don't message me on whatever platform you're on. And instead Skype me or text me, like get them onto a different platform, because you want to do two things. So I say, don't message me here. And when you read this and message me on the other platform, you must say, I'm applying for the super rad bodacious writing position. Just something ridiculous that nobody's ever going to write you naturally. Because what you're doing is you're qualifying them, because you want somebody that is going to pay attention to the path that you're wanting to point them on, and understand your instructions when you say, this is the voice that I want to represent. And if somebody can't follow, like spend the extra half a second to read the full listing, or the Facebook post or whatever it is, and then follow a simple message, what makes you think they're going to go do unique, efficient research on your topic and actually produce something that's quality for you?
That's beautiful. I've used that.
You've done Easter eggs?
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. No, it works. It's 100% right. It's 100% right. That's how you know who's paying attention, who's not. And usually, you know what, man, every single time it's those ones that don't pay attention to details. They usually don't last very long. They just don't.
Yeah. Like
Right.
I'm hiring a new project manager right now, and I had probably 30 applicants, and 10 of them sent me direct messages, and I was just like, delete. Like, I'm not even going to, you have to, if you're kind of new to outsourcing or hiring or working with remote teams, you have to fight that urge, because at first you're like, well, what if they're really good? They're not. They didn't follow directions. Just delete it.
Well, and I think part of it is that there's no shortage of talent out there, and maybe did they screw up? Maybe they did, maybe they had a bad day, and it happens to everyone. They missed the detail. Too bad, so sad. Go to the next one. There's plenty of people out there that can help you. Plenty of people that can help you out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now, now we talked about content creation. So now, as far as placing this content is concerned, you're putting it on your website. Is that probably the best place to start? And we talked about social media platforms, but as far as SEO is concerned, where does that content actually go?
Yeah, put it on your blog, because any content you put out there, if you put it on social media, if you put it on Facebook, you're building up Facebook. You don't own Facebook. And so you want to build up an asset that you control and own. Every platform goes through an evolution where something new and shiny comes along. Facebook is looking like it'll probably outlast its predecessors. But that's not to say that something else won't come along at some point. And Facebook may never go away entirely, like, MySpace pretty much did, but something may come along. And even if it's not you working organically, like maybe you're paying for ads. Well, why are you funding that nonstop instead of funding the writers or something else to build up an asset that you 100% control and own? It's great. It's a great example right now with the whole virus thing, because understandably, a lot of businesses are hurting. And so what do? If they've relied on paid ads, what are you going to do? Because now you have to tighten your budget. But if you tighten your budget, then you decrease your leads. And so all of our clients, just fine, because we're not messing with budgets. We're dealing with stuff that we own. And if anything, the majority of our clients have actually gone up in visibility and traffic, because how many people are on the internet right now? And not only are they on the internet, but they have the time and attention to give to somebody. And so if you own that asset, which is your website, yeah, put it there, build that up, because that's going to be something that you can own and maintain.
As far as blog sites are concerned, there's plenty of free blog sites you can put it on as well. I don't recommend using the free ones. Put up the money. If you're going to do this business, do it right. Put up a website, make it look professional. Put up your information there. There's part of it is optics. You have to do that. But if you just can't, there's the free stuff out there. You can eventually move it to your website too, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can get, WordPress is free. And so for $15 a year, you buy a domain. So now you have damonsrealestateblog.com, and then WordPress is free. So you're out $15 a year. Well, you need a host, which is another $5 a month. So for $75 a year, you own it. You own it entirely. And so if you want, there's value in putting things on other platforms because the audience is already there. So you have to do a little bit of both. So what I will do is, on your website, you want unique content. But earlier on in this discussion, we said your website and SEO is a little bit different than social media content. So kind of what I was implying right there is that you need to put your unique efforts into your website content. On social media, you can repurpose it. So a lot of times what I'll do on my LinkedIn content, if I have like a really good post, or a lot of the times the stuff that I put on Forbes, well, it's good stuff. And so I want to put it on LinkedIn too. But neither of those are my sites, so I don't care so much that it's been repurposed. And so what I'll do is I'll take my Forbes content, paste it on LinkedIn as an article, and then at the bottom I'll say originally featured on Forbes, and then link it back. So that way there's just the consistency, and is Damon really the author? But you don't want to do that on your website, because on your website you want your website to be the only agency of record for that unique piece of content. Because if Google starts to see the exact same verbiage in large chunks across multiple websites and multiple blogs and social media, then at some point Google's going to say either A, this other website is more credible, or B, this other website has the original timestamp and it may be wrong, and it's going to penalize your website that you're trying to build up. So put all your unique assets on your website, and then if you want to repurpose it, that's fine, for social media, but make sure you legitimately repurpose it and you're not just copying and pasting it on all these other outlets.
Excellent. That's some good information. And something else to point out too, when you put that italicized information at the bottom of your LinkedIn that says that this has been originally published in Forbes, yada, 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 it also gives you the legitimacy with the reader too. If they happen to see it on LinkedIn and they see, oh wow, this guy was on Forbes. Okay, damn, that's pretty cool, right? It's kind of like it's like this is published there too. So from a psychological perspective, it's increasing the overall value. It's kind of like a byproduct, but it's still good that it's there. It's good that it's there. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing stuff. So now, what do you see happening in the next 5 years now? I mean, there's all kinds of changes happening on social media these days. Different things that many of these Facebook and other groups are creating and launching out there. I know Facebook recently had, I think there's Facebook meeting rooms. Yeah, they have that out there now. Of course, you have TikTok that's now dominating the younger age groups these days, but a lot of older people are getting on there now. So how do you see the next 5 years playing out as far as social media is concerned and all that?
My reply to this is actually probably the opposite of that most expect. I stick to the basics. I don't get caught up in the new shiny things, and I can relate that immediately to social media nowadays, and then I can also relate it to the success and the longevity of my career. So I've been in SEO for 13 years, and I got into design 20 years ago. So in the course of that time, I probably have the same dozen clients from year one, 13 years ago. And the reason why is because I stick to the basics and I'm consistent at what I do. I don't know hardly any other agency. I mean, I don't know any period, but I know they're out there somewhere, that have clients 13 years later, especially in online marketing. Most are probably lucky to have a client consistently past a year or two. So the reason why I point that out is because I stick to the basics. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a new Google algorithm update. So what? The reason why all these other people get slammed is because they're like, what's the new shiny thing on SEO? What can we manipulate? What dead horse can we beat? And then Google eventually goes, okay, that's getting a little out of control, guys. So we're going to devalue that. So what I do is I stick to just the core basics, which is, good content, good user experience, good site structure. Are your things mobile friendly? Do they load quickly? And so, that's my SEO answer. Now on social media, it's going to be very similar to what we said earlier about find a platform that you're really good at. Guess how many TikTok videos I've done? Zero.
Yeah.
Guess how many I plan on doing? Zero, because it's not where my market is. And the other thing beyond, let's say my market was there. That's not my style. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not me. I'm not going to get on there and I'm not going to do videos. I'm not going to do dance and music and things like that. So,
Right.
But my kids go to this local karate studio and I've kind of become friends with the owner, and he says, well, we're on TikTok. And what do you think? And I said, that makes sense for you guys because you can show them things and you can be creative and, show them moves, but then reinforce the coolness with some good music behind it. Like that makes sense for them. So whatever thing comes along, I would still stick to the principles of getting really good at one of those things. So if you're jumping on, if right now you're deciding between, do I jump on Instagram, even though it's been around for a while, or do I jump in TikTok because you haven't done either one of those yet, whichever one you pick, think which one you can do longer. Like, can you really commit to music and, on-screen action to support the longevity of a TikTok effort? And if the answer is no, then you think about Instagram. You say, okay, can I support the long-term effort of, pictures or case study representation or charts or, or houses and construction, like whatever it is, like, cool. Yeah, I can do that because then I'm not on camera. Figure out like where you're comfortable and then commit to it. Give it enough time to act. Like, don't wait for the magic. Don't expect magical unicorn things to happen. Like, you got to put in the time and the effort, but just pick one and do it well.
That's right. I mean, that's part of it too, is that it can be time consuming when you're starting off, especially when you're creating the content, but it is totally worth it. Totally worth it. Getting out there, getting your name out there, doing the brand, building a brand and getting the recognition for it is going to be huge. And of course, being able to be found once you create all this it'll change your life. It'll change your life. It's just phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. And you can, we talked earlier about repurposing things that you don't have to do it yourself. There's ways there's overseas virtual assistants, VAs that you can get for a couple $100 a month, and they're probably better at it than you anyway. So
that's right. Well, so they do, right? They're writing for you. They're writing for other people. They have that mindset to write, and that's 100% true, man. 100% true.
Let's see if I got scribbles here somewhere. I got scribbles I want to do this type of content and then send it here and then here and then here, and like this is my new. It's not a funnel, but this is like my content sequence. Figure this out and then give it to somebody else. I'm not the best qualified person to make Instagram images all day. Even if I was, I should probably be spending my time doing something else anyway. So, but you'll notice that I'm still making the effort because I want it to be my voice. I want it to align with my audience. So yeah, I mean, you can do really killer stuff. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but you have to draw out the blueprints.
All right, guys. Well, if you want to reach out to Damon, you can reach him via his personal site, what I mentioned earlier, or through his company's site at SEOnational.com. Definitely check him out. And don't forget to download that info, that calendar he's got, SEOnational.com/free. Download that. That'll get you started as far as your calendar is concerned. Absolutely key to really helping you set everything up. Hope you find this beneficial to really building your personal brand. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast.